Today we are bringing you a video that we are very excited about because we have a success interview with Harris and Jenny, who are Project 24 members and have been working on their website very diligently and are seeing some incredible results. So just to get you guys up to speed a little bit before we begin, their website is in the gardening industry. They don't want to divulge their domain name and stuff, which is totally fine. We totally get that. But their site has seen some incredible success in terms of the page views and the income that they're getting from the site. So welcome, guys. Thanks for taking some time to share your success with everybody. So
yeah, thanks for having us.
What have you seen? Where are you today with page views?
So our website page views is around 138,000 in the last 30 days. So it's quite a number.
Yeah, I'd say that's incredible.
That's awesome.
138,000 page views in 30 days. And have you done any link building? What marketing have you done behind that?
Nothing. Articles.
Just writing. Recently, I started a Pinterest account a few months ago, and that's starting to pick up, but really nothing. No Facebook, no social media, just not even YouTube.
So maybe content is king after all. Oh, that's so cool. Okay, so tell us the whole story. We got to hear it. So how did you get started? How did you choose gardening as the industry to go in? What was it like beginning, where you have no traffic and starting to work on this thing? Give us the story.
So I think we started off by watching your YouTube, the income school, or it was on which site? YouTube.
Project 24.
Project 24 or something.
Yeah.
I forgot now. That was 2017, and we were talking about she quitting her job and encouraging her, and then she was doing the plant thing. Right?
So he came across your videos, and he was telling me about it. At that time, I wanted to quit my job. I was working in the healthcare field for 18 years.
Wow.
And I just needed a change. I wanted some time with my family too, my little kids. I have 2 kids. So he told me about your site, your videos. And at that time, I was very skeptical. I'm thinking, I'm not a writer. This is a hobby of mine. Gardening is a hobby. I'm no way an expert in this field at all. So I just kind of brushed it off and didn't want to do it. But then I got desperate. I really, wanted to quit my job. I didn't want to go from one job to another healthcare, to just another. I was working in a hospital. I just didn't want to go to another hospital and doing the same thing. And that's all I've known for 18 years. So this gave me another option.
You said you're feeling desperate. I know you have children. Is that what made it feel urgent?
I was just not feeling fulfilled in what I was doing. And and it's hard when you don't feel fulfilled and you work so hard for that degree. I had a master's degree too in that field. So, what are you supposed to do after that? I didn't want to just go from one job to the next, which is what I was kind of doing. So this kind of gave me an option to do something else because I really didn't know what else to do aside from working in that field.
Okay.
So that's what I meant.
Okay, so you started in on the project. So you had enough confidence in yourselves to get going, even though you were nervous.
At that time, we weren't in Project 24 yet. So we just, we went by just the free videos that we were watching on, was it YouTube?
Yeah, YouTube.
On YouTube. So I didn't really have the whole picture of what to do, but all I knew is that I had to write long, like you were stressing, long, very informative articles, and my goal was to reach 30 articles, right? 30 articles, just long, informative articles. So that was my goal. That was my initial goal. I gave myself a timeline. I forgot what. It was maybe a season. I started in the winter, so maybe the winter season, I was going to complete it. I didn't want to put too much pressure on myself, so I said I just wanted to do that 30 articles and see what happens. And he said at that time we didn't really have very lofty goals at all. He said if we made $1, was it $1 a day or $5 a day, that would would have been worth it. $5 a day. So I said, yeah, and that goal kept me going. I said, okay, yeah, it doesn't have to be this huge thing, $5 a day, I can live with that. At that time, that's what I was thinking. So I said, even if we don't get any traffic, just again, like 30 articles, that was my goal.
And I don't want to ask anything too personal, so I won't ask the income, but the traffic on the website is doing really well, and we talked about how it's performing in terms of monetization, and I am very impressed. You guys are absolutely killing it. What has that meant for you guys? What has it done for your family?
I mean, this is pretty
recent.
It's pretty recent. We've because we got into
Mediavine like just February.
Wow.
So
okay.
Seeing the numbers go up, because before that was like, if we made like $1 a day, it was like, woohoo, we made $1 a day.
Now $1 a day would be really, really bad.
now it'd be really sad.
Yeah, I was telling her, we write the 30 articles. If we do like, let's say you stop at 30 and then it made $5 for the next 5 years, that's worth something, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
The first 5 months that she wrote, or 4 months.
Right.
So it was worth something.
So now, yeah, it's really, I can't even, the numbers that we're seeing now, it's really very amazing. It's almost surreal.
It's awesome. Yeah, I mean, 138,000 page views, that is awesome. So how much work was it? I mean, it's hard to get started online, and it takes time. It's just brutal while you're building your business and losing confidence and feeling like this is never gonna work. How many posts did you write, and what did that feel like when you're in that phase?
Oh, so yeah, again, my goal was to reach 30. Well, one thing going for me is that I'm a nerd, so writing, I thought of it this way. It's like writing a paper for school, right? Writing a paper for school. Only thing is I have total control over what I'm writing. And I'm writing about something that is a hobby of mine. So in a way, it wasn't so bad for me. I actually liked it for the most part, writing, because again, I'm a nerd. And it was hard, but I thought of it as, if it gives me a way out from, what I'm doing now, what I was doing as working in the healthcare field, and I hated it. If it gives me a way out, then it would be totally worth it, and I can picture myself doing it for a long time. Just writing about things that.
So you started with that 30 posts, which we really advocate that people do that. Start in a structured way with 30 posts, and then of course you want to continue on from there. How many posts do you have to date on the site?
I have 85.
No, not excellent. That is astounding that a new blogger can do that. It really is. Our goal today, still, on average with our sites, is 1,000 page views per article that we post. And that's after doing it for many, many years. To do that. It's, sometimes we do better, sometimes we do worse. The fact that you have done that on your first site with 80 articles to produce 138,000 page views a month, that is astounding what you've accomplished. I mean, you've clearly understood what needs to be done to succeed here. That's awesome. So give us some secrets already. What worked? Like when you're doing the search analysis and you're deciding what type of topics to write about, like now you have some data back, right? And now it gets much easier because you can see what type of post worked, what type of post didn't work. So, without revealing your niche here, but what did you find really worked? Give us some tips. How do we do this?
Well, in the beginning, when we weren't really in Project 24 yet, we were just watching the videos. I basically was all over the place. I just wrote whatever I wanted to write about. So, and then when we started seeing the traffic picking up, we said, hey, these guys know what they were talking about. So we decided to really go for it, and that's when I learned some of the secrets with the keyword searches, the ABC, the alphabet search, alphabet soup, so now before I write an article, I just do quick search to see the competition, to look at the competition, see what's out there, to see if I can, rank. I don't even, aspire to be #1 in all my articles, like you mentioned in one of your videos. I just want to rank. I want to be on the first page. So I just look at that. And if it's too much competition, I kind of hold back and say, okay, maybe not right now, and I'll just go through, like different topics in my head, and also like just since it's gardening, I always have some gardening projects on my own anyway. So I'll look at the project and say, okay, let me see if I can write about this, and look at the competition. So I go from there. I kind of take it from a personal side and start with a personal project and see what I can do with it in terms of, the article or how I can basically turn it around and write a full, long article on it.
Yeah, and then I analyze what the data brings back. So I
data.
analyze it and look at, what are the things that are not getting a lot of impressions, but they're not getting clicks. So we'll probably just change the title a little bit to make sure that, instead of 0.1, we go to maybe 5%, CTR type of thing. So I do that, and then there are keywords that might be slightly, way off from the article, but it's showing impression. And I ask her, maybe you can look at this list of keywords. Maybe you can write something about them. So,
Jenny, you said you were a nerd. It sounds like Harris is the nerd.
Well, yeah, saying that I'm a nerd is an understatement.
I wore my nerd shirt for you guys today. This is computer nerd joke.
So yeah, so that's on the writing and then understanding how to grow it. But on the monetization, there's actually a lot more to it.
Let's hear it.
To get from maybe $10 to we did a little bit more than that now with 139. But what I did was trying to understand how the Mediavine reads our website, right? How does it read it, and how does it insert the ads, right? Understanding that give us a chance to restructure it.
So what do you mean by that? Do you mean formatting? You were working on the design of your website to have good ad spots?
Kind of like that. If you think about it, I think Mediavine talk about paragraphs, where let's say every 2 paragraphs they'll insert one ad. But when they look at your site, the script, they look at the site, they actually look at different things. So we found out, since we're using a DB builder, so it's actually looking at like green tags, green blocks in DB builder. So we have to split them up properly.
I see.
So they can add more ads if we set it up that way. So.
Yeah, like in the beginning we didn't know, so I would have a huge chunk of text.
Yeah.
So we had to break that apart so that to give room for the ads.
Yeah. And then after doing that, definitely our RPM skyrocketed.
Yeah, we saw that. This is very recent.
Yeah, it's very
in the
recent.
past 2 weeks, we've seen a huge growth just from splitting up these huge blocks of text.
Yeah.
That's how we kind of we can go high now.
And we haven't even done it because we have 80 articles to go through. So we've only done it for like maybe 20% of the articles.
Yeah, I went through the top search clicks pages, and then I went through those, like the top 20. I went through those first. So we fixed all of that, make it readable, and then split them up better. And then after doing that, then there's a lot more ads going on, and then our RPM shoots. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So advertising, it sounds like, is your main source of monetization now. Are there any other avenues that you're pursuing right now with monetization?
Yeah. So there's a few. Definitely Amazon is one of them, and then there's a few small affiliate sites, but not very significant. They're only about 5% of our own monetization. I think the next step is kind of like a book that she's planning to do, like an ebook that she found really nice when, I think in the library, right? You saw it, the style. So she's planning to do something like that.
Right, yeah. To do like some sort of ebook.
Yeah, ebook.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Have you started building up an email list?
Yes, we have, but I guess we haven't really focused on trying to get more. We just get people trickling in. So every few days we'll get a few.
But we haven't done anything with the email list.
Okay, great. So what's next now? I mean, you've got to be so excited with where the website is now, but that's the one thing about these websites is once they build to a certain level, there's no max. You're just like, no, now let's pour some gasoline on it. So what's the plan over the next 6 months or year on this site?
So the plan is to just keep writing, keep it growing. So we have about 85 articles now, and my plan is to reach 100 articles before then I'll start working on an ebook or an info product, and just keep growing, just keep writing, and then improve on, start or work on our YouTube channel, because we just started that. I know you guys have been, talking about,
yes,
YouTube stuff at the beginning. That's something I didn't do. started like this month.
Yeah, we recorded a bunch, but it's on me right now to do the editing, so I haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
Nerds got to get to work.
Yeah. So we have 2 really crappy videos and we haven't done anything. So that's really something that I think could really improve our site even more if we can get YouTube going.
Yeah.
And
that's a big opportunity.
And Pinterest, we're seeing a steady growth. So we're just gonna keep.
Pinterest has been helpful. I mean, the gardening niche, I think it's pretty good.
It's bringing traffic into the website.
So I think like yesterday we got about 800 clicks on that alone.
Yeah.
It's a good niche for Pinterest. It's the exact kind of niche that would do well there.
Yep.
So that's great.
Yeah.
So
that's the accolade side, but I'm also doing like at least two more income school. Well, now I call it with my mastermind group. We now call it income school model, business model. So
cool. So you're working on new sites.
Yeah, I'm working on about 3 more sites. Yeah.
Can you tell us some of the times that you had to adjust your way of thinking as you've gone through Project 24? Where were a couple moments where you learned something that kind of changed how you thought about it and changed your approach to what you were doing?
Oh, so in the beginning, I was basically, like I said, all over the place. I would just write about, it was almost like a personal blog, and I wanted to just write about things that I was passionate about, things that I cared about, and it didn't matter if people were searching it or not. I just want to get it out there. Like this cute little project I'm doing, I'm gonna post it, But now I'm more careful. And before I post anything, I don't want to waste my time, so I'll do a quick little search to see if it's worth my time or not. In terms of how much people are searching, if there are people searching that topic, or if there's any competition, if I can beat that competition. So I always do that first now before writing anything. I'll do a quick search as opposed to just writing whatever I want, which is what I used to do in the beginning.
That's huge.
Yeah, that's really big. I think that just the key, is it called keyword search analysis. That's a huge part, because once I started doing that, the traffic just kind of picked up a lot faster, because then that people are searching that and they want to read about that. Even just the way you structure things, or the way I word things, or the title of the article. Those things,
I remember looking at some of her initial writing. There's a bunch of them are really long, but it's not getting a lot of traffic. But after, I guess we watched the video and she's done the search analysis, most of the articles that she will write now will get the traffic
faster,
right?
Yeah, quicker. Yeah. Even if they weren't as, they're not as long as my older articles.
Mm-hmm.
Because of just a quick little research that I put into in the beginning, that really helps.
Yeah, it really does. We were talking recently as we were looking through some people's websites for doing consulting on websites. We noticed that when somebody's asking us about the site and what they can do to improve, the very first thing we jump to is the search analysis. Mm-hmm. That's it's not the whole thing, but it's a big chunk of it. And yeah, that whole course, we have one of the entire course in Project 24 just on search analysis to walk through the principles, because it's that's exactly what you saw, is if you get that wrong, even if you do everything right, if you do that piece wrong, it's going to be hard to succeed.
Oh, that's definitely, yeah, that's definitely true for our site. And yeah, we've seen that, of course, that video that you put up, and that's very, very helpful.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, even the article is written not so good, but you can change that later on. But if you didn't do the research
From the
properly,
beginning,
Right.
and it's hard to correct later. Yeah, it's true.
So what are some tips you'd have for, a friend who sees what you've done and is excited by what you've accomplished? What are some tips you would give to somebody about how to start a successful site?
We get a lot of, not questions, but people are always interested when they find out that this is what I'm doing now. But the first reaction I get is, oh, I'm not a writer. I can't do that. I'm not a writer.
Mm-hmm.
But look at me. I'm not a writer. I was working in the healthcare field for 18 years. English is not our first language. It's not even our second language. Seriously. So, just get started. Do something. Make small goals. Like my goal was 30 articles in the beginning. Do it. Just do it. Get started, and don't make huge goals in the beginning. Just start with little small steps, and if you're committed to it, then you can make it work.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great advice, guys. Do we have any other questions for him?
I don't. Any parting words of wisdom you want to give to our audience?
Yeah, I think there's several steps to start a business or start a website. Definitely get the content done, as you guys talk about in the income school, and then after that, then making sure it's being monetized properly. I think that was the longest time that we haven't done. And then your site is actually can do a lot more than you can expect if you do it. Just understand what's going on. So yeah, so I think that was it for me. Yeah.
Awesome. You guys are killing it. I love hearing everything you're doing. I wanted to tell YouTube one thing though. These results are not typical. And what I mean by that is most people who start a blog are going to fail. That's just the truth of it. There are millions of blogs, and the vast majority of them are not making significant income. And the reason that these results are not typical is because they did two things that most of those people are not doing. One, they actually put in the long, hard work over time. Jenny, writing 85 posts doesn't happen overnight, does it? It's hard work. And you have to really believe in yourself that you can actually accomplish it. And it's hard to do when you have a brand new site. So that's one reason. You guys are putting in an incredible amount of work. And number two, it's like starting any other business. It takes skill. It's a skill that you're learning. Some people, even with a course, will watch it and it just won't quite sink in. Mostly what keywords to choose, what topics that you should be writing about. And so I just want to point out those two things, because I think some people come into this with an unrealistic expectation, just like it's some kind of get-rich-quick scheme, something like that. You're building a business. You're building a content business, and you've done those two things really, really right. And that's why you're succeeding. And so I love having you guys on, and for everything you shared. I know it's going to help a lot of other people.